Now, as for the Palestinians, we see Hitler with al-Husseini. We see Nazi salutes, Hezbollah, Nazi salutes, Nazi salutes, Nazi salutes, and Nazi salutes. These are Hamas, Hezbollah, and Fatah. More terrorists. With swastikas. Here we see neo-Nazis in England and London with the Palestinians, along with the Palestinians. And of course, with 1,000 policemen monitoring the situation here. You see the Nazis along with the Palestinians. Hamas-Fatah. Right, here we see Palestinians burning American flags. They receive money from America, but they burn the American flags. Wow. Now, of course, Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas Prime Minister, sends other children to blow up themselves upon Israelis. But he sends his daughter to Israeli hospital for treatment. So that's being a bit of a hypocrite, isn't it? Right. As far as hospitals are concerned, 108,000 Palestinians were treated in Israel 3 hospitals this past year. 0 Israelis were treated in Palestinian hospitals this past year. So I guess Israel truly is an apartheid state, isn't it? So here we see Khaled Messal and Ismail Haniyeh, and guess who, with their patron, and guess who that patron is? No more comments. Ismail Haniyeh, Khaled Messal, and their patron. Now everyone talks about ISIS, so here is an ISIS fighter, and this is a Hamas fighter. Can you spot the difference? A terrorist? Not a terrorist, perhaps? Hamas, ISIS. Now, of course, the Palestinians are starving, aren't they? Khaled Messal owns $2.6 billion, Yasser Arafat $3 million, Ismail Haniyeh $3.5 billion, Mahmoud Abbas $1.5 billion. Mahmoud Abbas $1.5 billion, Ismail Haniyeh $3.5 billion, Yasser Arafat $3 billion, and Khaled Messal $2.6 billion. So these people are truly starving, aren't they? So everyone talks about ISIS. Just like ISIS, on Wednesday, September the 30th, Palestinians destroyed an ancient site in Israel from the period of the Romans. The site was discovered in 1968 by Israeli archaeologists who researched the Bar Kokhba revolt. So this building does not exist anymore. What about Joseph's tomb in Shechem, in Nablus? Joseph's tomb, a Jewish holy site, was burned down by an Arab mob. What? Palestinians lie that Israel is attacking the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Temple of Omar, while the reality is the opposite. Well, I don't see any damage on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. What about Joseph's tomb? Now recently, this Palestinian cleric claimed that there was no Temple of Solomon on the Temple Mount. There was only the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Omar Mosque. So Solomon never existed, David never existed, Israeli Jews never existed, only Arabs, according to this person's statements. Does that make any sense? I don't think so. By 1944, 11,000 rockets had been fired at England by the Nazis. When Churchill retaliated, he was called a war hero. Now by 2014, 1,000 rockets had been fired on Israel by Hamas. When Netanyahu retaliated, he was called a war criminal. Does that make any sense? Oh, now this makes a lot of sense. This figure received the Nobel Prize for Peace. And this is what he actually said. Peace for us means the destruction of Israel. Yasser Arafat. Now, does that make sense? Well, even he finds it quite funny. Now, the Palestinians seem to be a brave people, killing Adel Biton, a 4-year-old little girl. So how brave these people are. The Hamas-run government in Gaza has partially bulldozed a UNESCO World Heritage Site known as Athidon Harbour, which is a 3,000-year-old, and it was discovered by archaeologists in 1997. Despite the fact that Athidon contains rich mosaics and other archaeological treasures dating back to antiquity. Now, the Minister of Tourism, Mohammed Gela, said, "We can't stand as an obstacle in the way of Palestinian resistance. We are all part of a resistance project, yet we promise that the location will be limitedly used without harming it all. Of course, without the funds in place for the science preservation that Hamas uses, that is not guaranteed." So, there goes Athidon, 3,000-year-old archaeological site. It was destroyed by Hamas again, and no one talks about that. So these are the brave people who killed Adel Biton, destroyed Athidon, destroyed the tomb of Joseph, other archaeological sites in the West Bank, and they claim to exist. Of course, there's no such thing as Palestine, of course. That's a laugh. So he heard about the bluff called Palestine, and even he laughs about it. Palestine? Where's that? So there is no Palestine. This is Israel, of course.